live.
Wait. The home of Grand Prix racing. Hello everybody and welcome along to round 8 of this Inside Line Racing League season. We're here back again for Tier 1. And this evening comes from the Paul Ricard circuit in Le Castellet, France, where 19 drivers in fact will take to this very historic racetrack in all hopes to win the French Grand Prix, and with it all the plaudits as well. Well, Andy's a few thousand miles away from his Scottish base and isn't joining us this evening, and instead in capable hands is Dom, or Rapids as he's best known to the community. He usually does the Tier 2 streams. And good evening Dom, how are we doing on this fine evening?
I am very well, James. It's a pleasure to be back commentating on ILR1, this time for France, round 8 of the season. So this should be a cracker. We had an interesting race in Canada last time out, didn't we? So yeah. We're here in France, one of those interesting circuits with many overtaking opportunities, and I think we'll be on for quite an interesting race here with lots of slipstreaming and plenty of overtakes I think are expected.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few drivers making their somewhat comebacks to the series, not full-time, which I'd just like to add. They're coming back on a reserve basis. CRG Simon returns in the McLaren alongside LCR Leopard, and actually, considering McLaren last time out got a 1-2 in qualifying, I don't think that isn't totally against them here. They'll be definitely looking to do that, but we all know Veloce Prize is your championship leader by some margin over the rest of the field. Sierra hasn't had the results of recent races to suggest that maybe he will take this championship fight right to the wire with the Welshman, but he's definitely one to watch still. Those two really looking like the benchmark and maybe favourites for the championship.
Definitely, yeah. And you mentioned also, I mean, let's talk about people outside that top sort of 3 in the championship. You've got, obviously, last time out, oh my god, it's J1 in Canada. So there's also people outside that top sort of 3 in championship that can also compete and really change the story of the championship later on in the season. So I do expect things to definitely pick up, and I think we can see plenty of guys, and this grid is very talented, and I think a lot of these guys can be up there fighting for podium positions and even race wins.
Absolutely. The first 3 races of this season were really dominated by Veloce Prize. 3 of the first 4, I think maybe even 4, no, 3 of the first 4 races, I think I'm right in saying. He won every single one of them, bar one, China, where Sierra beat him on that occasion. But every other race then he won since. Actually, since last time out, he finished on the podium at every race this season. He failed to finish on the podium in Canada after a bit of a incident involving connection issues.
Just one thing, James. The Sierra has just gone round. He's saved it. He's not got any damage, but on his first run on those hard tyres, he's made a mess of that. And he rode the cub on the inside of the second part of the chicane, and that's completely spat him round. And he's back on circuit again, no damage, but won't do him any favours. But plenty of time in this session to go, so he can actually put in another lap. But he's okay. He's running again. But sorry, continue, James.
Absolutely. It's a circuit that can bite, this French Grand Prix circuit, or Ricard. It's got, annoyingly, I personally feel there's too much around here, and if you're going to have that much runoff, I think you need to have gravel or grass alongside. I don't see why there's such a tremendous amount of tarmac other than the race circuit itself. There's so much of it. These drivers really can afford to make any mistake, and there's no punishment for them. Around here. I mean, track limits are going to be a bit of a... but everywhere else, it's just a... open. I don't know whether anyone else agree with that, but I just feel like a couple of gravel traps here and there around the circuit would just make it, I personally believe, a better circuit to race on.
Indeed, yeah, it's very unique actually, this circuit, with the amount of runoff it has, and a lot of people have been critical of this runoff that it has, but this is one of the most modern racetracks in the world with all of its infrastructure. It's quite a modern circuit with modern runoff, so yeah, it's unique in its own way, but I think besides that, I think the racing, particularly online and esports, I think it can be quite good around here. So at the same time, yeah, runoff is interesting around here and very unique, but I think it does offer good racing too. So I suppose you can't have everything in the world, but yeah, it is a criticism that many people do have of this racetrack. But yeah,
I think
it's one of those.
Yeah, I think the vast reason for why there is so much runway around here is simply because there are so many configurations of this race circuit. I can't tell you how many off the top of my head, but there are many ways this circuit can be laid out. And you're seeing the sort of junior formula that they may not use the entire circuit, they use some of the circuit. Test days, some test days at least as well, and their private corporate events, they won't tend to use the whole circuit, they'll use little parts of it that go right in between the two back straights, or sort of Le Mans style chicane that follows for these drivers around this French circuit. And we're looking forward then, still in qualifying, and it's still, well, we should probably know just Joe as top of the time sheets at the moment with a 31.1 ahead of João Pedro in second place. And João Pedro really, in the most recent races, has come alive in that Alfa Romeo, really made it his own. Really has, actually, dare I say, been outperforming his teammate Sierra in the last few races in qualifying. He just needs to get that race result under his belt, that podium that I think is eluding him at the moment. He's definitely got the quality to go on the podium with João Pedro, but it's just not working for him thus far.
Indeed, yeah, Joe's putting a good lap time on those tyres, and that's a good way to start things off. He's got that banker in, he knows where he is, where he's at the moment, and he's looking pretty comfortable. And, you know, you've got to say, he's continuing that momentum on from last time out in Canada. Yeah, fair play to him, and he got that podium even the race before as well. So he's definitely on a little bit of form, is Joe. If he can continue that going forward, today could be another one of those days where he can really go for the win. But again, you've got many people in this field that can compete for victories. One of them being Terra Limitless, who we see on the screen right now. He's not actually on up at the moment. He's on the soft tyre, but it seems to me that he's just getting a feel for the circuit at the moment on the compound. He hasn't set a representative lap time as of yet, but he is just getting a feel for the circuit. And this is one that you do have to get a feel for. It is quite a tricky track in aspects as well. So again, it's about getting a rhythm as well. A lot of these drivers will be just trying to gauge that rhythm earlier in the session before the track evolution takes place. So at the moment, that's what people really are doing. We've got Jason out there as well in the Red Bull. I think he's just starting a lap. So you know what, let's ride on board with the Red Bull driver and see how he's getting on. So here comes the first main chicane here. Brakes for me aboard, down into fourth gear, turns it in. And you can see he's running that hard tyres on the white rubber. And you've got to be really patient here. You want to be careful with the throttle here, because this right-hander, you will be very careful, thread the throttle. And you see there, look, he gets him to come on the inside, and he's completely, it's hurt his rear end, and it's really just, it cost him a lower lap time there, and that's not going to help him. He'll probably continue on with this lap and put a banker in, but it's not a great start. There's definitely lots of time to find there for him. Second chicane now, difficult to get the braking point right, but he navigates through there nicely. Doesn't rather come on the left hand side too much, because that also can spit you out. And then now it's run now. You've got the fast right hander, and you might see a lot of people go for counter attacks here after getting past from the DRS zone before that chicane and going for it again here. This long right hander, almost reminiscent of something from Russia. But he gets through that, and again a little bit of oversteer on the exit, so not ideal for Jason here. And he's backed out of the lap, you can tell, so he's not gonna. He's going to pull it in, probably pull into the pit lane, but not a great lap there for Jason. Lots of mistakes, but I'm sure he'll be able to get more of an improvement, as Infamous is now on top there on the 31.0. He's just gone on top in the Ferrari, so good lap by him. And you can get a sense of this track evolution as Spicy Tez now in third place on the 31.2. He needed a couple of tens off Infamous there.
Absolutely.
Anybody else on lap times? João Pedro's on a lap here, actually. Here he comes. He's on an improvement seemingly as the Alfa Romeo driver. Across the line, the 31.0 puts him on top. So a good lap there. And you can see a lot of people are starting to improve and put in more represented lap times.
Absolutely. It's one of those circuits, actually, well, this circuit in particular in terms of strategy, don't expect people to qualify on the soft tyre. And if you do, then, well, they're not going to be in, really with a shot of winning, I don't think. to say that, to be completely honest with you, it's just one of those strategies that just doesn't work around here. We've seen it on a couple of occasions where drivers, Alpha in Spain, probably the most famous one this season, where he really just decided, okay, let's just let the shackles off, and he went for a lap in qualifying and on the soft tyres when everyone else was on the mediums, and he did put in a really good lap, but obviously put him on pole. You're not going to expect to see that around here. Most people will most likely opt for that medium tyre, so it is going to be quite quiet in terms of how quick lap times are, and maybe how quickly they come in as well, until right at the end of the session, where we'll get an absolute bombardment of lap times flying in around this Paul Ricard circuit. Also, something to note: the pit lane has been improved. It's changed. It goes right through the final couple of corners. The Sierra goes fastest of all, and the Alfa Romeo makes it an Alfa Romeo 1-2, a 30.8. The first man to drop in the 30.8s there. So if that's a bearing of anything to go by, then expect the medium times to be maybe just under the mid 30s, maybe low 30s we're looking for in qualifying here.
Yeah, it's a good lap from Sarah. I rode on board with him actually there, and he looked pretty much on it, so that's a good lap. But yeah, he's again put down the banker. He's got a good lap there, but again, medium tyres are surely going to be the favourable choice to qualify on pole with around this circuit. Verstappen is on a lap at the moment in the Williams. He's currently 2 seconds up on his previous best, I think. If that's what the Delta says. I'm pretty sure that's wrong, and he has backed out of this lap, so he's not going to continue on. Sierra Rosberg, how's he getting on in the other racing point? Is he on an improvement at the moment? Let's have a look, run and ball with him as he heads into the second chicane. Brakes for the people down, turns it in fourth gear, and down the third. Needs a good exit here. Doesn't really come on the left hand side too much. It's not too bad of an exit from him. And now he's heading towards the fast right-hander, and you just want to keep it. And you want to just put in as little steering as possible. Don't want to scrub it too much speed. He's in 8th gear, and then this long right-hander. It's almost a double right-hander, in fact. Down into 4th gear, turns it in, patient on the throttle, don't get too much oversteer on the exit, and now the left hand here, this again, very long left-hander, late apex, gets it not too bad, not the greatest, I didn't clip the apex as you like, and now the penultimate corner, now a long left, but he comes into the pit lane, if you don't see him complete a lap, so I think you can see he was backing out of that earlier on, but it wasn't a bad idea to see how he's feeling in terms of confidence at the moment. He's looking not too bad.
Absolutely, as much
as Prix is out there at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of long sort of straights, as we know, around this circuit, and a lot of long corners. I think that's the biggest challenge around here. It's just finding your traction zones in this final sector. This is maybe, dare I say, one of the harder circuits in terms of final sectors of a lap, because this corner, the surprise is coming through now, feels like an age before you get the car finally turned in. It always feels like you've got it wrong. And it's the same with the final corner. No one's ever sure whether to take curb or not take curb at all, as Simon goes on top with a 30.7, a good effort. Let's watch surprise. So he comes through the final corner now, just nails that traction zone on that occasion, doesn't get any rear wheel spin as he heads up towards the line. He can only go second fastest. I'll say only go second fastest. He's behind CRG Simon at the moment, so interesting to see how these two compare and qualify. I'm really looking forward to seeing this final qualifying battle. There's a good, I would even go as far as saying maybe 7 or 8 drivers who get on pole position here today.
Indeed, yeah. You see a lot of them are now coming out on the circuit again. They've all been in the pit lane and put on a new fresh set of tyres. So everyone is going to get very busy in these last 5 minutes of session. Track is at its optimal, so it is where it should be for people to really put in some very quick lap times. But people out on the circuit, we've got Leopard out there now. He's on that medium tyre, so he's really going for it at the moment. We've got an Alfa Romeo out there, and I think that would be Syra, so he's out there as well. He's going to put in these guys. It's really important to kind of get in front of the queue here, because it can get very bombarded with traffic. A lot of these guys are going to be on their final runs at the same sort of time, so it is important. These guys are striked first. They've gone out first. They get their laps in, so they don't get any sort of traffic on their main lap. So it is important for these guys to kind of nail their first lap. They will have a second shot at it, but if they have a second shot at it, they could actually have some traffic. So it is really important to kind of nail it as soon as you can. And you can see Sarah is reeving his car around to get some sort of heat into his tyres, which I don't think really makes much of a difference in this game, but he's trying it anyway. But these guys are the experts. They know better, don't they? They're the main racers. They know exactly what they're doing. And these are some of the best guys on Xbox. So expect to see a flurry of very quick lap times in the next minute or so.
I think it's going to be very similar to Canada. Those few long straights you have at Canada really make a difference. And we saw a number of times in qualifying in Canada that a number of cars seemingly tried to use the toe of others to gain an advantage on that back straight. Around here, that is so crucial. One half of it is a DRS zone. So it is crucial that they get some sort of slipstream. That could probably gain you, I'd say, about a tenth and a half around here. There's a lot of time to be found as Sera begins possibly his final lap in qualifying. It's going to be interesting to see how he gets on those medium tyres. Everyone, as I said, will be on those medium compound tyres as the Brazilian darts down through the first few corners. We'll see what it's like on this occasion for Sera as he enters and really begins his lap. He's going to have a bit of traffic early doors, but look how much he's nailed that already. His teammate, João Pedro, is right ahead of him on the circuit as well, giving him that toe that these Alfa Romeos need if they want to get anywhere close to the front in qualifying. It's been a wretched few races for the team. They need to nail it here. And look at that, a bit of slipstream from his teammate. He's going to be up on his way again as well. João Pedro moves out of the way, and here we go. Sera down on towards the braking zone of turn 8. This is a very, very difficult corner to get right. You've got to really commit yourself, and there's a few lines you can take through here, very different lines as well, as they back on the power. And now this occasion he's got the slipstream of the Toro Rosso of Langman, who needs to get out of the way here through this fast right-hander of turn 10, absolutely flat out all the way down, and then you're really just lifting off the brake pedal, not braking but lifting off a little bit, then hard on the brakes, then back on the power again on your acceleration up towards the final few corners. A wide entry and a very late apex there through the left-hander, and once again through this final sector. Look how many cars are just going to make it blocking his way.
So much traffic. Oh, he's hit the Ferrari. You see, that's the danger, isn't it? It gets all very boxed up in the last sector. That's going to ruin his lap. Let's see what he comes across the line with a 30.1, and it is an improvement. But I'm sure he'll probably take that to the stewards after this, if it does cost him track position. That is not ideal whatsoever. Anybody else behind him improved? Joe actually went on top there. We didn't see that, but that was a 30.1. So in hindsight, Sera's contact with the Ferrari, that's obviously cost him a bit of time there, and its potential pole is gone out the window there, unless he continues for another lap.
That has cost him pole at the moment. That moment for the Ferrari getting in his way, that has cost him that. There is no way that he would have lost that's a few tenths of it, a few hundredths of a second. But look at the gap between himself and Joe. It's only a few hundredths of a second. Simon was out already. Veloce Surprise is one of the final few cars to take the checkered flag then around this Paul Ricard circuit. Will he get another lap in though after this? I do wonder that he may have left this very late indeed if he wants to get 2 laps in. But the Mercedes driver is going to be a battle between the Mercs. The McLarens are in there as well. Leopard will begin another lap. Joe's just backed out of his lap and he's got ahead of Leopard on the circuit. It's a bit of a scenario like we found ourselves with the Italian Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago in real life Formula 1. And that is the sort of scenario we find ourselves in here. Veloce Surprise though, powering his way down towards the fast right-hander. This is so committed through here, through turn 10. It's an amazing corner, so satisfying to get that much grip out of these Formula 1 cars as they dart through that right-hander and then back on the power again. And the Welshman on top of the championship, want to be on top of the world come the end of today. And let's see what he can do around the final few corners of the lap. He can't afford to have all this concertina effect, the backing up that we've seen over the last few laps of this qualifying session. Around the final corner then comes Veloce Surprise through turn 15, the final corner, and then this power all the way to the line. Baztek's moved into 3rd place with a tremendous effort from the Haas. Surprise is only 3rd on the grid and won't get another lap in qualifying. That is the highest he can hope for, the Welshman. That is not the best effort we would have seen from the Welshman. Only 3rd on the grid here today. Simon's got another attempt at a lap, so has Leopard. So there's a few guys out there. Tiro Limitless we haven't even accounted for. He's down in last place. He is on his final lap here in qualifying. You see when he runs a bit too wide through this long right-hander, and he's got a real amount of time to make up here. Can he get that racing point onto the front row of the grid? He had an amazing result in Canada, a result that maybe he didn't even expect himself. Overkills moves himself into 4th place. What a tremendous effort from him and the Red Bull to move himself onto the 2nd row of the grid. For how much longer will he stay there? Around the final corner then comes Tiro Limitless and a dart up towards the line for the racing point. Can he move himself anywhere towards the front? He can. It's only 5th place though. Look how close it is between all these guys at the front. Really close stuff. Simon then is the next car, along with Leopard, who's not too far up behind. Infamous is coming around the final few corners as well. He's one to watch in qualifying, always has been. Rosberg only 17th on the grid. Another poor effort from him in qualifying, and we watch again the Ferrari of Infamous round the final corner, turn 15 and right up towards the line, goes 6th fastest. Simon in the McLaren and Leopard in the McLaren. The closest to follow is Joe, lowers the bar further. João Pedro's moved into 7th place. And Simon comes up towards the line. Can he go any quicker? No, he misses out. It's the same lap time. They're identical lap times there, set by the two at the top of the field. And it's only on who set the lap time first gets pole position. And this occasion, OMG's Joe's done it. That's the closest session I've ever seen. Unbelievable.
Told you, those last 5 minutes were absolutely hectic. The best drivers, one of some of the best drivers on Xbox going absolutely at it. And look at that. That's incredible. The top 8 separated by half a second, and the top 5 separated by under 2/10. And even if you put in Limitless there, he's in 6th place, only 2/10 off. That is absolutely incredible. Very close indeed.
What's even more incredible there is the top 2. They're identical.
Absolutely no gap. Yeah, 0 and 6-2 for both.
I've never seen that.
That was very, very, very interesting, and that is so tight. But hey, there we go. We've got these two boys, and a lot of these guys in that top 5 really going for it in the race now. It's tight at the top here in France. I think we're in for a bit of a cracker here. I think we've got plenty of guys who can really go for the race win today on pace. And we've got people even down lower in the field, because I think also with the circuit is track limits as well. I think it's very easy to invalidate. I saw a couple of times in qualifying, Simon invalidated his that time as well. And I think Rosberg had that a few times too. So I think we've got a lot of people like Rosberg down in the back, potentially coming through the field later on. So I think we're in for a bit of a cracker here, James.
Absolutely, there's plenty of opportunities for people to really make a name for themselves. And Overkill's in 5th place on the grid. What a tremendous effort from him. He hasn't raced in the F1 tier so far this season, as from what I can recall. Races, I believe, in F2 for
he does,
has been. Yeah, so that's a really impressive effort to be 5th on the grid. But as you say, don't discount anyone just yet. But my goodness me, I did not expect to see a dead heat around a circuit that poses a 1 minute 30 lap time. That is ridiculous. I'd expect it maybe around an Austria or a Monaco, but I wouldn't expect it around a circuit that's maybe a bit longer than that. That is crazy how close these guys are as we begin the formation lap. And in hope of all these guys, they get the result they want here today. And let's take you through that grid. It is Joe on pole from Simon in 2nd. Sierra is 3rd with Veloce Surprise in 4th. Overkill's in 5th in the Red Bull of his first start in Tier 1 this season. Tiro Limitless starts from 6th ahead of Infamous in 7th. Again, do not discount those two in the race, because at times they have had tremendous race pace. It's João Pedro in 8th. Baztec was 3rd, right up until the final few seconds of qualifying. Drops down to 9th. Leopard, maybe not the session he was hoping for, down in 10th. Jason is the first guy to get the start on the hard tyre in P11. Vice Ted is 12th alongside Langman in 13th. P19 Brown, not the session he was hoping for. He also starts on the hard tyres alongside Reynolds in 15th. Verstappen, again, more of a one-lap merchant, and he couldn't pull it together on this occasion. Starts from 16th. Rosberg is 17th. Then you have Alpabal and Dralex rounding out the grid, but Rosberg opting for the mediums, whereas the final two cars on the hard compound tyre. So it is an easy one-stop round here, but mediums to hard seems to be the favoured strategy.
Indeed, yeah. I think this is going to be interesting to see how things all play out here, and it is important. There's quite a not a bad run into turn 1 as well, but it's not a great overtaking opportunity turn 1. So I'd be surprised to see if you get a better start in say if someone gets a better start than Joe, then it's all on him. He could probably go for it into turn 1, but it's not a great overtaking opportunity. You're really looking to try and get a good run out of turn 2, and then hook yourself up for that first chicane that you come to. But this is going to be all on the start. The start is very important to get away well, and just really, Joe will be aiming to try and lead away into turn 1, and hopefully do what he wants to do, and to get a back-to-back win since in Canada as well. So that's what he's trying to do: aim for back-to-back wins, and it is possible if things all hook out for him. And he really needs a good start here to kick things off.
Absolutely, he needs this sort of race as well, as much as in Canada, to kick-start his season again. He's had a couple of races that he's missed this season through no fault of his own, but we are getting ready then to line up on the grid here in Le Castellet at Paul Ricard in France, a session where absolutely nothing separated the top two in qualifying. Will the top two be separated as closely here in the race? We're 5 red lights away from lights out. And it is lights out and away we go. And it's a pretty good launch from Joe off the front row. We'll look at the Alfa Romeo in behind as well. He's got a really good launch. Nearly 3 wide then. Down towards the first corner. Will Joe break first? No, he won't. Simon round the outside into the first corner. Can't quite make it stick. And he's going to have to cut across the circuit. Got off the road. Joe's off the road as well. He's wide. Surprise is in there as well. They're nearly 4 wide down towards turn 4. They're so close all between. The surprise up the inside looking for the move. He spun around. The championship leaders round down at turn 4. What a tremendous moment in the start of this French Grand Prix, and he's round at turn 1. That is not the start that the Welshman was hoping for. Simon gets away with it, cut the second corner, and just managed to break the field away from Sierra in second place. Joe's up behind in third, and he's really close up behind him as well. Overkill's managing to make a massive stride up the front of the field as well. He's in fourth, and Joe's now down the inside, into the left-hander, can't quite get it done. What a tremendous start to the Grand Prix, except for the championship leader.
Absolutely incredible. This is a start that really, surprise, didn't need. Joe has not had a good start either. He's in third, but he's desperate to get past Syra. But on the other hand, Syra is thinking, hey, this is my day here. I want this. I want to take some points out of Joe. I was surprised, but Joe looks to the inside of the double-hander, but couldn't make it stick. It is not worth it at this stage of the Grand Prix. It's too early to make any sort of move, but you can sense that Joe really wants to get past Syra. But at the same time, Syra's defending for his life, because he wants to take out more points than surprise, because he's got that 45 point deficit, I think it is, to him. So it's really important that he stays in second place as they're trying to chase down Simon, who got a little bit away from all that chaos behind him. He managed to get away from all that and just try and sprint away, but at the same time, Joe's really pushing on. He's weaving and everywhere to try and get past the Alfa Romeo. He seems that he's just trying to put him off, and it's behind him. I think there's even more action as the racing point there of Limitless is fighting with Infamous. But no, I think they're okay. I think everyone's gone through that okay. But Limitless is in fifth. But yeah, what a start to this race. Absolute chaos. 4 of them fighting for the lead in the first sector alone of the first lap. That was superb racing, but at the same time, super unlucky for surprise, and he'll have to pull off a very, very impressive fight back through the field.
Absolutely, he's going to have to pull it off. He's only 16th in the field at the moment. Joe is, as you say, closing down. I think there'll be a few very unhappy faces down at the Mercedes-Benz team, as well as well, just a few drivers who are going to be very, very annoyed with that race start, because I feel like a lot of them felt maybe they were forced off the road, maybe there was nowhere to go. There really isn't anywhere to go around here. We said the runoffs could make this circuit a little bit more different, a little bit more tricky, but it hasn't been the case. As Surprise makes another move, this time on the Toro Rosso of Alphaville. He's into 15th place, and you know, as you said, he's got to get on with it in this race. He's got to get as many cars as he can early doors in this Grand Prix. His next target is Evio Reynolds in the Renault.
Yeah, he's got to push on. I mean, at this moment of time, people are kind of just... We haven't got any DRS at this moment in time. People are just trying to get into that race rhythm. It's really, really important, because the cars behave so differently with these higher fuel loads. So, at the moment, they're just trying to get into that groove. As Simon's got the gap over to a second. He's now 9/10. They're seemingly not got a good exit. But there you go. Syra on the fastest race, 34.154. So, there we go. People are starting to come alive in this race, starting to get into that rhythm. This DRS is now enabled in this lap, so we should see some interesting overtaking at this point. This is our best opportunity, but this is a bit of a train forming at the moment between Syra, Joe, Overkill's Limits. They're all sort of stuck in their own slipstream as now Surprise gets a penalty.
This
Not
is
good for his causes here.
No, this is very uncharacteristic from Veloce Surprise, but crucially, if Simon's able to pull that buffer, a lot of people say this around this circuit, if you're able to get out that DRS range, you've really got a chance of really holding your lead and holding your position wherever it may be through the field. As you can see, Syra, though, has actually managed to stay in the DRS of the German in front of him, and he's just got to hope that he can hold on to that. That is really his last resort in this race, is just holding the DRS, then closing and closing, lap after lap. But he leads then in Simon from Sarah and Joe. Overkills is still right up there in 4th place. Hasn't really looked under pressure from anyone over the first few laps of this race. He hasn't fallen away. He's got really good pace as it stands. But Joe is starting to try and hassle the rear end of that Alfa Romeo, trying to force it into a mistake possibly as they enter towards the 4th lap of this race. And that Mercedes is getting ever closer to the rear end of that Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, he's pushing on here, but Syra again will be defending for his absolute life, as I mentioned earlier on. This is his best opportunity to claw up so many points on Surprise, but Surprise will be determined to still come home with some points today, and points do mean prizes in the end today. That is what he'll be targeting. But Joe, the fastest lap, 33.989. He's the fastest man on this circuit at this point. He's pushing on very hard now. Simon hasn't got away. Syra, in the end, Syra is right there with him within half a second, as now Infamous gets a penalty for multiple warnings. So we're going to see a lot of this in this race. But what we are seeing a little bit, James, is the DRS train. That's what we're seeing, because at the moment they're just stuck in each other's slipstream, they're stuck in each other's DRS, and it's important that Syra, if he wants to get on with this, is to get past Simon. If he gets past Simon, he doesn't have to worry about Joe, because Joe will be stuck behind him. But what Syra will need to do is keep Simon within DRS to form that train again. That's what he needs to do. But here again, look, he closes up into that chicane. He's right up on his gearbox. He's a good run through here. It's 3/10 the gap now for Syra. He's in that slipstream, but it's not an opportunity. This fast right-hander coming up, and then the long right-hander going into a double right-hander isn't an opportunity for an overtaking opportunity. So at the moment, it's so hard. It's a real dogfight between these three. Overkill is starting to fall away a little bit, but the DRS is helping him to stay within that DRS. Limitless, meanwhile, is behind him within half a second. So at the moment, what Limitless is hoping for, really, is he needs to get past Overkills, which is easiest said than done in this DRS train, and then try and get on the back of Joe, hopefully.
I genuinely believe this race could be won on penalties. I don't think it's going to be one of those races going to be won the most cleanly. It's the one who finishes with the least number of penalties, because penalties seems to be really just so many drivers getting penalties in the first 5 laps of this French Grand Prix. But you're right, Syra's really closing in. If he can stick within around half a second before they enter the DRS, he's got a huge chance on the brakes, because he's gained so much. That DRS is so powerful as they enter those back straights, and he looks a little bit more confident in the corners at the moment, a little bit more confident under braking. Joe looking a little bit more confident than him, though. He's really on the gearbox now at the Alfa Romeo in front of him. It's all about nailing this traction zone. This long right-hander is horrible to nail. They've got to on this occasion in the flat out turn 7 and all the way the run down towards those two fast, or the fast chicane, the turn 8 and 9 that follows these cars. As Syra closing and closing once again, can't get close enough to the back of the McLaren on this occasion, has to sit in behind and wait another lap, because you feel that's when he'll go for it, and Simon has to take a little bit more curb than maybe he was hoping for through there, maybe getting himself a warning in the process. But Limitless isn't too far behind Overkills now. It's really looking like the top 3 though, close together, and Joe's looking for a move on the inside then, through turn 11. Is he going to go for it on the inside? He's looking for it, he's still close, side by side through there. Can he get the move done to the Mercedes? Looks like he will.
No, he doesn't. The outside line there was so much more favourable for the Alfa Romeo driver. He got the better traction out of it, and Syra stays in second place. But I told you that double right-hander isn't an easy overtaking opportunity, because on the left, on the outside, you can get that better traction. And that's what it's all about. It's so hard to get them done and dusted around here at the moment, particularly in the DRS zones. And even when the opportunity does arise, it's even more difficult, as now Joe is weaving around in the slipstream of Syra, just frantically to try and put him off, because that's what he needs to depend on. And you know what, Syra's got a little bit more deeper into that first corner, but he's still got an alright run out there, and it's not a good opportunity for Joe, but Joe looks much more confident through this first chicane than Syra. Syra goes a little more deeper. Joe will try and just close up, and he's get a good run through here, as Verstappen gets a penalty for multiple warnings. But he needs a good run here, and again, doesn't get the same. It's not a great run, it's not a bad run at the same time. Meanwhile, Simon's got that gap out to sort of 7/10, so he's protecting himself away from that DRS. He's trying to close that gap in, but there you go, look at Joe, he's not closing up in that DRS at the moment.
The trouble is, I think Joe is sort of just getting Syra to just get on with it, because he's so much quicker, I think, than the top 2 at this stage of the race. He just cannot find a way past that Alfa Romeo, because he's getting the benefits of DRS in front of him. It's such a horrible position. And here we go then, Joe then through turn 10, he's so close through there, and Limitless is also side by side through turn 11. He's got the move done, is he on the inside? Yes, he has. He's muscled his way through Overkills. That's a great move on the inside of turn 11. What a fantastic move from the Racing Point.
That's a brilliant move. Yeah, that's how you do it. You push him off wide, and you just cut him off. That's what he needs. That's what he's just done there. Perfect textbook move by Limitless. But also, before Limitless got past Overkills, I was going to give a good shout out to Overkills. He's running really well at these early stages at the moment. He's doing a superb job. Really good P5 at the moment, was P4, but he's maintaining it, and he doesn't need to get in any unnecessary fights. He just needs to prove that he deserves to be here today.
Absolutely.
And now look at this, Joe right on the back of Sara again, gets a better run through turn 2, but again, not an opportunity. Now into this first chicane, turns it in, goes and he takes the apex of that first part better than Sara. But yeah, it's all about this long right here, just getting a better exit, and at the same time, he just can't deliver it. Sara is right on the back of Simon as well. He's within DRS activation. This is not a great opportunity. Does Joe use a little bit of his ERS that he's got? He's got about 70% of it, from what I can see from his wheel. So he's got a bit of it left, but again, not close enough. Sara is not close enough either, and they're starting to break away. Limitless last, he was battling with overkills. Yeah, the gap is. Sorry.
Just going to say, Infamous has just thrown his Ferrari down the inside of the Red Bull. He's now losing positions hand over fist, and Overkills hasn't really got an opportunity to do it. Joe's right up behind Sierra as well, down in towards turn 11. Sierra's gone too deep on this occasion, and the Mercedes is up the inside, and Joe's going to muscle his way through again.
Contact.
Side by side, he's got through, and Joe then into second place, had to fight for it, but has got through, and now he's on that charge of the German in front of him.
There was definite contact there, and it looked like Sara got still a good run through the initially on Sara pits. But as I was going to say, there was definite contact between the two of them, and that lost Sara a bit of time. But Sara didn't help himself. He went too deep into that corner, and I've just got a sense that those tyres are now expired at the moment. He's going to try and go for the undercut to try and get past Simon. Meanwhile, Joe, right on the back of Simon again. It's 3/10. He's got so much more pace. But now is the time to get a move done. If Joe wants to get past Simon, this is what he needs to do, is now overkill his penalty. That's unfortunate for him. But now Joe is going to be trying his absolute hardest to get past CRG Simon. He needs a good exit through this long left-hander, this long right-hander, sorry. He's a good run. He's 5/10 behind. This is not a great opportunity. This is not great, but he'll have the DRS. He'll use everything he's got from the ERS as well, the deployment. He's trying, he's closing and closing and closing, but it's probably not going to be enough. It's definitely not enough to get past the McLaren driver as we head into this braking zone. They close up big time. He's a good run through here. He's got not a bad run, but the gap opens up again to sort of 4/10. Actually, no, it's closed down. Actually, not a bad exit. Actually, this is not a bad run here. He's in the toe. He's now through the fast right-hander. Can he make a move into this next corner? Can he get it done? It looks for it, but no, he's too far back. It's too risky to go for any sort of move. He shows his nose, but doesn't go for it. Simon is real. It's Joe loses the rear end of Simon. Very slow through there. It caused a bit of a concertina there for Joe. He had to really avoid it. But then look at that. Simon's gone really wide. He's actually cut that corner. But he's definitely struggling on tyres at this stage of the race. But you've got to argue, is the undercut is it powerful round here? That's the good question, because at the moment we've got Sara down there in 19th, which is quite a long way back, but he's got free air at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few guys making their first pit stops, and one of them, I believe, is Chaser Prix, just come in from those medium tyres, just changing those right now as well. So João Pedro, Infamous in as well. So there's a few guys just opting to change the strategies up a bit here, just trying to just throw the dice and see what the undercut's like right here. Joe getting so much lift off oversteer through turn 4. He's so committed to passing that McLaren in front of him. It's really the battle we weren't fortunate enough to see in Canada between McLaren and the Mercedes of Joe, but he's going to have to just fight for this. We know how much quicker he is through these long corners. Joe seems to nail it. He's able to use that rear end to get that car rotated and into the corners, and he just can't find a way through against Simon at the moment, who's sat there like a brick wall against Joe's hopeful relentless charge in this French Grand Prix. But as it stands, it's still Simon from Joe from Tyrrell Limitless in 3rd place. Overkills is far behind in 4th, but Leopard is 5th as well. And how's everyone got on in the pit stop there? So actually Sierra's managed to get ahead and keep ahead of all the guys who were behind him. João Pedro stopped as well, so Alfa Romeo are really going to roll the dice here and see if they can get a few positions with an undercut here. Interesting to see when these top 2 will put as well.
Definitely, I think it's imminent, really. These guys have got to respond to Sara. But at the moment, Sara hasn't gone fastest on those hards. So it does seem to me that if you can keep these mediums going, and look, they go for another lap. If you can keep these mediums going for a bit longer, it's probably worth almost the overcut in this sense. As now Joe is right within DRS again. Limitless in 3rd. It looks like somebody's pitted. Who was that? Was that Leopard? Yeah, Leopard's in the pits. But look at that. Look how much closer Joe is. Again in the braking zone for turn 1, but just can't get it done. He's going to sit behind him. But the big thing is, Simon just hooks up that long right-hander before that straight. He hooks it up nicely, and it means that Joe can't do anything about it. And the gap is now grown to half a second, and now through this long right-hander, and now into the left part. Yeah, it's just not close enough. It's 5/10, but it's not close enough again. He's going to use the ERS that he's got remaining and the DRS, but he's going to be closing and closing. Is it not enough? It's definitely not enough, in my opinion. He's not going to get it done whatsoever. Is he closing up? Oh, he's missed. He's misjudged that completely on the closing speed there. He's okay. Luckily, he didn't cut the chicane because he would have got a warning for that. But he's okay. He's yeah, that closing speed was so much to the point where it is tricky to get your car stopped in that situation. So he's lucky there. He's fell back to now over a second. But that's a sign that, you know, it's getting critical where he really is pushing on. He's got better. You can see he's got a bit better pace than Simon, a bit more comfortable at this stage of the race. He just can't get it done because these DRS zones are so short, and that's the big problem.
I genuinely think the biggest issue for Joe in this race is the fact that he may be even too quick, and they both pit. He's decided to pit along with Simon and locks his wheels. If they come into the pits, will Tyrrell Evans follow them in? He will follow them in. So this is crucial then for this Grand Prix, because Sarah is coming around the final few corners already. So that help from Mo. This is going to be a very, very close pit exit here between all these guys. Joe in the pits has been held in the stop. He has, and the McLaren will surely be held himself as well. No, he doesn't look like he has been affected too badly, but we're going to have to see where Sarah's on the racetrack. Sarah, I'm watching it, coming down the pit straight, and Sarah Limitless as well coming through. Sarah set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so has he managed to jump these guys? He has! Sarah takes the lead of the French Grand Prix. He's got ahead of all those guys, and now Dralix is trying to get himself involved. Infamous is right up behind, it's just got past Tyrrell Limitless himself as well, and Infamous is in this scrap then, behind OMGS Joe in the Mercedes, but Simon manages to get ahead, has bolted the soft tyres on that McLaren. He's gone for a slightly different strategy. Maybe it's just myself who's saying that, but he's gone for the soft tyres.
Yeah, he has. Simon's gone for that soft tyre. That is a very interesting strategy. I don't know if that's a mistake by him. I don't know if he meant to do that, but that is very interesting indeed. The thing is, James, Sarah, yeah, he's in the lead of this race, the net lead, but he's got 3-lap holder hards. Now, that shouldn't be a problem. You should still be able to do the one stop. Not a problem. But towards the end of the race, you're going to start struggling with degradation. And that's where the guys behind him are going to really claw themselves back in. Another thing is, Infamous jumped Limitless. Wondering how that all happened. That's not great for Limitless, because he did actually have a really good stop in comparison to Joe and Simon, because Joe and Simon, well, Joe particularly, got held up in the pits. So Limitless was right on the gearbox of Joe. Joe, luckily, was able to stay in front of Infamous, but at this point, Joe's right behind now Dralex. But Limitless really needed to be in front of Infamous in order to make some sort of challenge. That's where he wants to be, in that challenge for that podium positions. And look at this, now Joe looking for a move on Dralex. I think he's got that move done, actually. What a good move there he's done on Dralex. That's a superb move.
So's his teammate of Infamous. Infamous managed to get past his teammate through the final corner as well. So Joe is still under pressure from Infamous behind him, and he's just weaving to get maybe a little bit of a break from the Ferrari behind him. It's the toe that's going to be the biggest issue then for Infamous round here. But Joe's now got some clean air in front of him. He's able to push for a number of laps then on this hard set of tyres that he's bolted on that Mercedes-Benz, and now the Ferrari is really, once again, just going to feel the real lack of front end grip that is going to occur through this long right-hander of turn 6. It doesn't look awful through there. He's managed to hold somewhat of a gap, but he's now going to have a bit of DRS. Joe weaving to get that toe out of the way, and actually Simon's got past Sarah as well, so Simon has retaken the lead. But if he's on those soft tyres, that won't be that lead for long, as Infamous just can't find a way through on this occasion. But Simon then takes the net lead of the French Grand Prix. Yeah,
interesting there. Simon going a different strategy. He's going really aggressive on it now, and he's going to be pushing on. He'll be able to put on another set of mediums towards the end, so he'll be super quick in comparison to people on the hard. But that'll mean a lot of overtaking, DRS trains that we've seen already in the early phases. I don't think it's going to work out for Simon. That's my opinion. But grip does play a part, and the grip is a big thing around the circuit, so you never know how it all works out. But the hard tyre at the moment, you got to say, people in control, I think, at this race at the moment. Syra, Joe, they're our main guys. They really are in control of this race at the moment. But particularly Syra, he's got that gap out the Joe, probably around sort of 2 seconds. So he's got a bit of a buffer at the moment, and he can kind of just get on with what he needs to get on with. But he's got a lot of traffic in front of us. You've got Simon now, he's right behind EVR Reynolds. He'll be looking trying to get past him, because Simon needs to make the most of this soft rubber. He needs to get past these guys, get a gap, and just try and pull it, because the soft tyre is quite a quick is a lot quicker tyre than the medium and the hard. So that's where his advantage is. He needs to get that advantage, get that gap out, and just hope and pray that his strategy does work out towards the end of the race.
Absolutely, and Appleball and Verstappen going at it in front of him here. So we put off a little bit by the Toro Rosso, just weaved him around in front of him once again. Rosberg is closing in on Langman into the front of the field at the moment, and Simon getting so low on the brakes, having to lock his wheels, got so close to the Toro Rosso. He just misjudged it completely, and he didn't expect the Toro Rosso to go that early on the brakes. The left, right chicane that they had there, and now Simon's going to look up for a move on the inside of turn 10. Oh, so committed through there, and he's managed to get it done. He has in McLaren. I love moves like that. They really do get on the edge of your seat, and it's a brilliant move again from Simon, despite the difference in tyres, having to have that bravery to go for moves maybe when he doesn't need to, but now he's got to try and find a way past Verstappen in the Williams. The Williams haven't had the greatest season so far this season. People know Brown and Verstappen may admit that, and we're watching Simon then through the final couple of corners. Will he lunge one up the inside of the Williams? No, not on this occasion. Just sits in behind, he's patient, he waits for the opportunity to pounce, and once again you can see Sarah trying to get a move done on Appleball behind as well. Simon may look for the move into turn 1 on the outside. He's forcing his way through turn 1 there, and he takes the third place spot away from Verstappen, and Sarah's found a way. Yeah, he's got past Appleball as well. Nice little move. So it's all sort of kicking off in behind this battle.
Right, they're making their way through the traffic almost to try and, they're in these guys are in their race, and obviously Syra and people like that and Simon are all in their own race as well. So it's just seeing the clashes of strategies going on at the moment. Behind we've got Reynolds and Appleball going for it here. Look at Appleball now. I'm going to have DRS on even on Reynolds, but Reynolds will have DRS on the car in front. Is an opportunity for Appleball into the inside of the second chicane. Is it possible? No, it's not. He's too far back. And as obviously DRS is working perfectly fine for Reynolds in front, and it's helping him stay and defend the position nicely. But yeah, we're seeing the mix of strategies here. Simon, now Rosberg's the next one. He's in second place right behind Langman. They're on similar strategies. They're both on the medium tyre. They've been on it for 13 laps, so they're going to be pitting probably soon. I would gather. Yeah, pretty soon, I'd say. Probably this lap or next lap at least. Yeah, see what they do. But they continue on for another lap.
Yeah, Limitless has managed to get past Infamous in the Ferrari as well. But what's really interesting is how close this field is. When you look from Simon down to about, we're going to go far, about 14th place to Prix. It is all so close on the racetrack. These guys are so closely matched at the moment. Surprised actually right on the behind of LCR Leopard. Both of these guys have won an ILR championship, and they're only fighting for 11th place in this Grand Prix. It's incredible, but that is the sort of scenario we find ourselves in here. There's maybe a battle to watch between these two, because we haven't really ever seen them encounter each other on the circuit. Leopard coming back to race here in France, and he's not having the race maybe he was hoping for in the McLaren, but he's certainly going to have a fight now with Lotche Surprise up behind him, the other Mercedes in this race, and Langman and Joe.
As Rosberg gets past Langman,
yeah, Rosberg, gets past the Toro Rosso of Langman there. What sort of happenings is going on down the rest of the field? Surprise maybe looking for a move on Leopard as well. It's going to be mighty close between those two, down in towards the breaker zone. Surprise force his hand here on the inside. No, he won't on this occasion, just backs out of it, and that may be because of the Red Bull in front Leopard there, just maybe backing off a little bit.
It's going to make you think here as well. This is almost battle for 6th place, because this is where Overkills was before the pit stops happened. So, surprise, he's back on it, isn't he? The field is very tight from sort of where Simon is downwards. He's back in this race, I feel. I mean, he's making the move. He's made that time up that he lost initially in the first stages of the race. He's back in this race a little bit. He really closes up the Leopard in the breaker zone there, but he doesn't go for that move. It's not worth it, because if he did go for that, he'll be spinning round. So yeah, this is an interesting race. This is really kicking off now, as now Reynolds pits in, and that means that it releases even more everyone else actually now to get on with their own races. And now Joe gets past Verstappen, And now we should see the save from Limitless. Does he go for it on the inside? He does, and he's got that one done on Verstappen. As Verstappen's tyres clearly expiring. They're pretty shagged at this point, 15 laps old. But Rosberg and Langman also do continue on with their older medium tyres, and they're going very long on those mediums. I'm surprised they're holding up. As look at that on the inside is infamous on Verstappen. That was a pretty nice move, and well played there. Verstappen really did not really put much of a fight on, but at the same time, Joe is actually under pressure from Limitless here. The gap's now 5/10, so it will close up in the DRS zone, but it won't be enough for Terra Limitless, but will try and get a good exit off this second chicane. It breaks a lot later than Joe almost. They come in so quickly into that braking zone. He needs a good exit here. It's got not a bad run, but it's not a great opportunity for him to make a move into the long right, and then also the double right-hander coming up after that. So Limitless will stay behind, but they can stay within DRS because Joe hasn't got DRS in the car in front. This is a good opportunity for Limitless. They can stay right there with him.
Absolutely, Limitless isn't going to give this one up, is he, against MGS Joe? This will be a real moment of satisfaction for the Racing Point driver. He managed to really just drag that Racing Point car into a podium spot. He managed to just get out of all the incidences, get on with his race. He did have a number of penalties that race, but managed to get through it all okay. And in the end, with his new setup, managing to get onto the podium, a podium which he was not expecting at all. Just like the race win in Spain, where he probably didn't expect to win on that day, but he didn't win in Canada. He finished second on that day, and we'll see what he's able to do against MGS Joe as they head down towards turn one. The Racing Point not close enough on this occasion. Maybe it's a sense then for these guys. They may be too quick for their own good through the corners, where they're so much better on the brakes than one another. They don't seem to be able to get through and have the nice run that they need going onto straights in front of them. Surprise gets another penalty. That's 6 seconds now worth of time penalty for the Welshman, and it's a day really to forget for him in the Mercedes, and you want to be ruining the mistakes he's possibly made at the start of this Grand Prix. We've only got 10 laps to go. It is now Cyril Rosberg leading from Langman. If they leave this any later, they'll be hoping to get on those soft tyres.
They're a good job on those tyres, definitely. I mean, they're doing a superb job. I think the soft tyre is possible to switch over to, actually. And I think they're going to have really quick race cars towards the end of the race. Langman catching up to Rosberg again, but now it's dropped back to sort of 3/10. But Limitless hasn't been able to get past Joe in that DRS, so I think they're struggling. But he's struggling to get past it. It's just because Joe gets the better run out of that long right and then into that left for the DRS there. He's just able to get that run out of it. But we're seeing that with a lot of the drivers today. So, as you mentioned earlier, these guys are racing very hard, driving very quickly through these corners, almost identical to each other. They're almost fighting. Yeah, they're almost fighting one another. That's the thing, because it's like fighting your own ghost in a sense. And as you're all driving sort of similarly through different corners and taking the same sort of speed, it's hard to get past.
Absolutely, and Simon comes in and out. He's bolted the medium tyres on, so he's got to do 9 laps on those medium tyres and expect him to fight his way like hell through the field now. He is going to be so quick in that McLaren. Has got some clean air, has he got in front of the Red Bull Jason? No, he hasn't. He's got to deal with a bit of traffic then already, which is going to halt his charge. And Simon then, that may have been the perfect, ideal moment to come into the pits and bolt onto that sort of medium. So if he'd have left it another lap, maybe he could have done another stint on the softs. But if softs only last 6 laps, then Langman and Rosberg have still got a fair bit of work to do here. Yeah, they've got a long way to go yet before they can go to that stint. 3 laps, in fact.
The thing is, they can kind of afford it. They've got a gap to Syra, so they can try it. As now Langman's got past Rosberg again, and I'm not saying that. So there you go. Langman's now got past him. These two are going to continue to battle on, seemingly. Are they preparing to come to the pits this early? Can they really do that? As Rosberg's gone really wide, he's struggling on those tyres. But yeah, they can afford to kind of do this. They've got the gap behind.
They're in. Whoa.
But there you go. Langman's in. Both of them are they're in now together. What tyres do they go in? As now Langman gets penalty for speeding the pit lane. So this now gives Rosberg the track position in front of him, theoretically. So it means that Langman will get it at the end of the race. He can choose to serve it if he wants to, but he'll probably take a 5-second penalty at the end of the race instead. So let's see. What tyres? That's soft tyres going on those cars. Soft tyres on. Where they go. Done dusted. Who comes out first? It'll be Langman in front of Rosberg, but Langman's got to come out, so there's penalty. But let's turn our heads back to Joe and Syra. Joe, 3 seconds back from Syra. Syra's done a good job here. He's got a 3-lap holder hards managing it very well. He's got Limitless still behind Joe, but Limitless, importantly, is in the podium position, and it's going to be another podium seemingly for him. We know obviously he's been using, from what I've seen, he had the, when he won in Spain, he had the Thrustmaster gear. Here he's obviously been using Fanatec gear and been getting used to that. Joe had that at the start of the year, where he was trying to get used to that. I remember Australia, for example, was a clear example of that, where Joe was on the Fanatec, not used to it, just trying to get used to it in the early doors. Limitless obviously been trying to get used to this, to the Fanatec over the last sort of few races or so, and he's coming into his own now. He's heaping the rewards from it, and he's right there, back where really he kind of was before when he had the Thrustmaster stuff. So he's done a superb job, and he's really giving Joe a headache at the moment. He's right there with him, and do you know what? I think, if Cyrus' tyres do expire at the end, at the moment, it looks pretty good for Limitless. He's looking very comfortable at this stage of the race on those medium. He's on the hard, but the game's telling me it's mediums, but he's on the hard. I can see on the graphic it's hard, but the actual tyre colour is soft, is the yellow. But he's in a good position here, I think, Limitless. If Joe can't get in, if he's struggling to get into that rhythm, he's struggling at the stage of the race. Limitless has got this. Well, I think he's got this wide open here. This could be a good battle for the end of the race. And Limitless clears up again in that DRS zone. He's going to be trying to get past, because in behind him it's Infamous. And Infamous, if he gets involved, he'll start getting a bit tacky. And Limitless, he wants to see what he can do. If he can bolt away from Joe and catch Syra, that would be interesting. But because at the moment, Syra, he's not being closed in on.
No, I think the biggest issue then that we're having at the end of this Grand Prix is actually Syra hasn't got a penalty yet. None of these top three have a penalty. Actually, here comes Tyrrell Limitless. He's got a real opportunity to pass MGS Joe down the back straight, but he's got it done. Easy pickings for Tyrrell Limitless in the racing point. Easy as you like under the braking zone. And Tyrrell Limitless is in now second place, and, well, one warning away from winning the Grand Prix if it becomes that close. Syra has got to hope that he doesn't get a penalty and that those hard tyres last for these next 7 laps of this Grand Prix. That'd be 19 laps on a set of tyres around France. So that is a big ask, I think, especially around here.
Oh,
a lot of
Joe's gone wide. We did go wide. He's okay. I thought he went really wide there, but yeah, Limitless again. That's what I said. He's got past Joe. He's done what he needed to do. He's in the driving seat now. He needs to try and put in a good last sector, try and eat the gap away a little bit, and now try and chip away at Syra. And Syra will start to struggle, I believe, on those hard tyres. But look at that, it's all getting pretty heavy behind him as well. Look at that, Joe's pushing on, because Joe doesn't want to lose Limitless, because if then Limitless gets a penalty, Joe's in the driving seat of the race win, because if Syra gets a penalty, then it is in Joe's court, it is Joe's win, so he needs to be careful as he struggles through turn 2. He's pushing on as hard as he can. Now Syra gets a penalty. That's the penalty we've called for, and there it is. So now game is on, boys. It is on. It's 9/10 for Limitless to close in on. He's got to find 9/10 in this bit of 6 laps, and you know what? My gut feeling's telling me it's possible, but he needs to watch out for people behind him, because he's now got a 4-man train. Because Surprise is in 5th place. He's the 4th car in this queue. So game on, but remember, Surprise has got that penalty now as well. So it is game on, and Syra needs to start pushing on.
It's already Constantine and up behind Terra Limitless now, so he hasn't really gained any sort of time at all. Surprise is right on the back of Infamous, and Infamous has been pushing his teammate around it. Surprise down the inside through turn 10. What a move that is from the Mercedes. He's had the wretched woes of this Grand Prix, but he's certainly made up for it with a move like that. It was a brilliant overtake down at turn 10 from him, and he's got past Infamous. He'll be pushing on now to get past Joe.
Look to the inside of Infamous there. That was close for me. But yeah, Surprise, what a fight back this has been. He was down in, last place at sort of the first sector of lap 1, and look, he's in 4th. Yes, he's got penalties, but you have to say, what a brilliant little comeback drive from Surprise here. And he'll be trying to get onto the podium if he can, but it's going to be hard because it means he has to try and get in front of Joe and Limitless. Joe looks to the inside but can't make it stick. And you mentioned that, again, the gap is now, if we think about penalties at this stage, the gap is, 1.2 after penalties at the moment between Limitless and Syra. So Limitless, he can't close in. Syra is looking comfortable even with the older tyres. I'm wondering if he's going to hit a cliff in the last 5 laps. I think he will, but at the same time, that's what my heart is telling me My head's telling me he will hit. He won't hit a cliff. My heart's telling me that I want him to hit a cliff.
Here comes
But
Joe.
here he comes, Joe. Joe's got that done again in the DRS. So easy pickings again.
Oh, surprise!
Oh,
It's
Limitless
round
is
again.
gone! And Limitless as well.
Oh, the two have come together. They're down at turn 8, and Veloce Surprise has been facing backwards for maybe too long in this race again now, and he's now lost some front wing, and it's all gone wrong for the Welshman. The championship lead as Therese has gone into tatters. What a disaster show from him, and Infamous has got wing damage as well, so this means that Leopard will be in 3rd place in this Grand Prix. What a tremendous little drive from himself. If he's got too many penalties though, then he'll maybe succumb to overkills behind him. This could get really tasty. The final podium spot, it's all kicking off with 5 laps to go of this French Grand Prix.
I didn't see what happened because I was busy. That I don't know if the surprise hit Limitless. Is that what happened?
Yeah, he lost it under braking completely.
Dear.
He just didn't get the car stopped in time.
We've seen that. Simon nearly did it.
Here comes
Joe
overkills.
did it early.
On the inside of Soul, Leopard into turn 1. They're side by side. The Red Bull can't find a way through. And Verstappen's got, well, he's out of the Grand Prix, but now watch overkills again. He's looking for the inside into turn 4 on this occasion. This is mighty between these two. And actually, the penalty difference.
Let me remind you, Overkills has got so many penalties, and Limitless, really, he's still in the game here. He can get, I think he can get the podium here. He can definitely get on that podium. If Infamous has got damage, it's possible. He can still potentially get the scraps of the podium here if everything works out for Limitless. But look at this again. Overkills looks to the inside of Leopard but can't make the move stick. But this is becoming a bit of a battle, and I'm pretty sure Limitless will join in on this battle very shortly as well. We've got 4 more laps to go. Plenty of action left in this race, but Joe's got it all to do to try and win this race because Cyro's got a 4-second lead, and I'm surprised by a drop off in these tyres. They haven't dropped off for Cyro. He's got 15 lap old R's and he has not experienced any drop off at all. He's kept the gap at 4 seconds for a good few laps here, and he's looking in supreme. He's definitely looking good, but all it takes is one mistake, and one mistake can cost you 1 second, and that brings Joe back in the game. At the moment, Cyro leads. He's still leading this race and is on course to win, but with 3 more laps to go, it's all still to play for.
It is all to play for around here in France, and Overkill sizing another move on Leopard, then down towards turn 1 we go again. He's on the inside into the first corner. He can't get the move done on this occasion in the Red Bull, and still singing behind him. But Joe, at the moment, you feel he's going to have that really just major pace launch.
Oh, there we go. Overkill's on the inside.
He's got it done.
Look at that move. He got the cut back on the McLaren driver every turn 2, got a good run into the chicane, and that was a supremely brilliant move by VSI Overkills. What a great race to come back to in ILR1. He was in ILR2 last week, and he's putting on a great show. Yes, he's got penalties, but he's putting on some great overtakes, the great battles. But look at this, the counter-attack from Leopard in the DRS. He's closing and closing and closing. Does he look to the inside? No, he does not. It's not worth it, but Limitless will be joining the fray any moment now as they all close up through the chicane, and now Leopard will try and hoping for a good exit here, which he hasn't. He's got not a bad run on Overkills here. He'll be closing the gap. He'll be in that toe. He'll be using the ERS. He's got very little of it. You can see on his steering wheel, not much of the ERS left remaining as he's been defending and attacking at the same time. Ahead of them, Infamous is also ahead. So this battle is on for that final position on the final place on the podium between Infamous, Overkills, Leopard, and Limitless.
Absolutely, Langman's around the outside of Bastek. I was just watching that. Whoa, look at that. Nearly got the move done on the Haas through there. That was crazy how he's going for it. He's still side by side. Simon's got a penalty around the outside. Goes Langman into the final couple of corners on the inside for the final corner. What a brilliant overtake. But look at Bastek. He's going to try and get the cut back on him. Down towards turn 1 once again. It's only battle for 9th place. But my goodness me, some tremendous attritional racing around this French Grand Prix circuit. They're wheel to wheel down into the first corner. Langman trying on the inside, and he's got the move back again on the Haas. And he's through into 9th place. And Veloce's prize with a number of penalties means he may move himself up to 8th place. The racing points close together again on the racetrack. And once again, we're just watching Joe just trying to manage the gap. He's got to make 7/10 up in the next 2 laps. And we saw how close qualifying was. This could really be a moment of, well, just absolute stardom for the Mercedes driver. He's got to pull this out the bag. A moment to remember in ILR here. If it can be made up 7/10 of a second in 2 laps, folks, that's what he's got to do to win this Grand Prix. Infamous is on for his first podium in ILR, but Overkills is on an absolute charge in the Red Bull up behind him. And looks the outside through turn 10. Is he going to go around the outside? He is. What a move that is from the Red Bull. Moves himself onto the podium places. Is Overkills. Great effort from him. And Leopard's on the inside. Oh, he's got through as well. And now the Ferrari's front wing damage is really playing into effect.
Yeah, Limitless needs to get this done quickly as he can, because now, if he doesn't, he'll lose more time for those. It's a 4-man train for this final podium position. At the moment, it's looking good for Limitless, I think. If he can get past the Ferrari here, the Ferrari defends. Limitless on the inside, and that is incredible when he's gone round. He's been spun round again. Oh, so unfortunate, but now that throws it back into now Sarah Rosberg's court, because he's on the soft tyre. If he can close up, you never know. You just never know.
He actually could finish on the podium.
This has been a crazy last sort of 7 laps in this race. Everything's happened that could have happened. Surprise me's been round twice. Limitless has been round twice. Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
It is crazy, but you've got to consider this. If Sarah Rosberg is able to get close enough to the back of Overkills to force him into an error, it is him who will finish on the podium. It is second podium back-to-back for Sarah Rosberg. And considering he started 17th on the grid, that would be some drive from the Racing Point, who's pulled out all the stops over the last few races. I'm pretty sure he will finish on the podium. As it stands, there's 6 seconds worth of penalties. I'm not great at maths, but I can tell you that gap probably isn't about 6 seconds between himself and Overkills in third place at the moment.
Look at Surprise though. The thing is, his worry here though is Surprise. He's got to keep him behind at the same time as trying to close that gap. So Rosberg's got everything to think about. But Rosberg's renowned for this. He's renowned for making great comeback drives through the field. I've seen it multiple times by him. He's able to deliver this when down the order, and that's what he's exactly doing. In the final lap of this race, it's still all the play for. We have no idea who's going to finish on the podium. All we know at the moment is Joe and Surprise. Joe and Syra, it's also probably sort of 14th of a second at the moment. And now behind, look at this. Surprise looking for the inside, around the outside of Rosberg. He's got the move done. Rosberg lets him go. I think that's very smart from Rosberg, because he needs to keep in Surprise's slipstream if he can, and now Surprise gets another penalty.
Oh my
This is all working out.
The top 2 are within that sort of range. It's 0.3 of a second. Just Joe could pull off the impossible on the final lap of this French Grand Prix, and it's only 0.3 between him and race victory round here. As much as there's battles between the rest of the field, it's really who's going to get there beforehand. It's these 2 at the front of the field, and this is going to make or break the race. 0.2 of a second between them. It's just closer than you dare go. Joe's got to push like hell in that Mercedes over this next few corners of the lap. And you feel he's got
a PB as well.
Yeah, he's going to do it.
Lap.
He's going to really do this. Just Joe around the final few corners. He's gone too deep. He's nearly spun it. No, he's thrown it all away. Through the final couple of corners, he's gone too deep. He's thrown it away. And if he hadn't have done that, you'd have felt this would have been his day. But I feel that it may not be his day anymore, because Sarah's rounding the final couple of corners. And unless he can make half a second up in a corner, or Sarah spins it, he is going to win the French Grand Prix. It is the first win in 3 races for V. Serra, who wins in the French Grand Prix in fantastic style from Joe.
Well done.
He has managed.
Bravo.
Overkills will finish third in the race, but won't finish third on the podium. Let him finish his third now. Then comes Infamous across the line. He'll finish 5th. Then Cyril Limitless comes in 6th. And Sarah Rosberg can only finish 5th in the end. And that means that last season's champion in Leopard has finished in the top 3. What a great effort from him.
I wonder what happened to Rosberg at the end, because he was behind Limitless, which I'm very surprised about. He was right. I have no idea what's happened there, but there we go. That's been this race. It's been a cracking show. Everything was ticking off. We went through, we have those points in the race where it gets the first sort of 5 to 10 laps was a bit boring, like everyone was stuck in their own DRS train, but it fully kicked off after they all pitted. Bam, the race started. That's where it was. People made mistakes. We saw spinners everywhere. But there we go. Syra does what he's needed to do today And what he's done is he's gained 24 points on Surprise. Surprise finished in 10th place. He's finished on top today. He's gained 24 points. It means he's closed that gap to 21 points in the championship to Surprise in the end. So that is what he needed to do. And what a fantastic drive from Syra in the end, because that was textbook stuff. Kept the gap at 4 seconds. We thought Joe's got this, but that last lap we just didn't know what was going to happen. But there you go. Your race winner is Syra. And James, want to take us through the final classification?
Absolutely right. Sarah wins from Amjad's Joe, and then it's third place on the podium for the first time this season. For last season's champion in Leopard, a record that I don't believe has ever stood in ILR League racing. Overkills will finish fourth on a fantastic return to ILR1. Rosberg finishes fifth and could even be having a shout for a drive of the day with that 17th place on the grid, fifth in the end. Could have quite easily finished on the podium. Baztec, Infamous, Limitless, Feisty Ted and Veloce Surprise, with maybe, dare I say, not one of the performances that we've become accustomed to see from him over the last couple of seasons, has finished down in 10th place. But managing to still get a point out of all of that, which is quite surprising. Right, let's go. Actually, should I do it, or should we let Dom have a shot? Let's go. Let's do it. Are you sure? Okay, Dom.
Yeah, you can do it.
Oh, they're too kind. Right, well, let's do it then. V0 or Ciro or whatever you want to his name. Let's go to him, the Brazilian maestro himself in Ciro, winning the French Grand Prix, and it was the first few laps of that race. It look like Joe had a lot of pace over yourself. It wasn't the easiest race, and when you saw Simon come in, get those soft tyres on, really your thoughts from that race? It's a tremendous victory, congratulations, but it really was not an easy race, was it?
Oh, definitely it wasn't an easy race, and I think I would say the same thing I just said, something another league race this week. To be on top, sometimes it's not about 100% talent, but it's about luck as well. And that was exactly what just happened tonight. We saw just surprising spinning 2 times, which was a shame. Joe getting held in the pits, Simon just picking the wrong tire in the pits. So everything just worked into my favor, except for qualifying, which I was doing the pole and just got a traffic of 3 cars in the final 2 corners. But yeah, I just started to do my best pace in the final 9-8 laps, which was like when I got the penalty, lap 21. And in the end, I just had no fuel, no ERS. When I just got into Simon, when he was just trying to save his soft tires, my DRS just broke. Fortunately, just broke close because he just broke open. I was going to lose a lot of pace. And I just tried to stay the car on track and drive as fast as I can to hold the 3-second gap. And fortunately, I made it for the second time since I just did the same thing last season in Germany.
Absolutely, and it's a race today where your nearest championship rival in Josh or Surprise failed to finish, finished in the points, believe it or not, in 10th place, but it's definitely a big margin that you've come out of a championship lead. It's that sort of result, isn't it? It's going to really land you in good stead to give you those sort of results that may help you towards that championship.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the last race in Canada just had a problem with connection lap 1, and I just got separated from the race lobby, so I just finished P11 with the AI, and Surprise got P4, so I think it's just a redemption, like if I'm going to say about last week, and about Monaco as well, which was a wheel track, and I just got P5, which was a good result as well. So I'm just going to keep the consistency to close the gap to Surprise in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, congratulations once again on the victory. It wasn't easy, and it was definitely a race that you needed to win, really, I think, for your to really cement your championship fight to Surprise this season. Dom, I've had a request from our second place finisher, Joe. You can put the party on open for a second. We may be able to get Joe in so we can have a few words with him. So if you don't mind, he's done it. So if Joe, if you're watching, join. And
I guess he's got his notifications off, I guess. That's
yeah.
Why obviously he can't get in. Yeah.
That may be why he joined. He has indeed. If he can hear us, we're going to run straight into Joe here. It's going to be a bit like a grid walk, sort of, throw a mic in and see what he has to say. Is he here? Joe, are you with us? No. Right, Leopard is third place then on the podium, and really a result which I believe it's your first race back since last season. I could be wrong
Yep.
to say that.
Yeah, it is.
But a drive that you're going to be pretty happy with to finish on the podium here today. Maybe not been the pace that you're or maybe hoping for, but you definitely got the result you wanted in the end, possibly.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't what I was expecting after qualifying. Yeah, I only did like an hour's worth of practice. It was literally my first time on the track since the new handling update. So literally an hour to figure out setup, figure out what lines to take, and all that, which resulted in a pretty horrific qualifying. And then yeah, I think that because the DRS is so powerful around here, I was just clinging onto the back of all the front runners. I saw on like the first stint for a good while, a good 6, 7, 8 laps. I'm pretty sure everyone was in DRS of each other in the top 10 at least, probably and beyond. Yeah, I took it slow. I think I got punted turn 1, so I had to just take the escape road. Thankfully no damage for me at least. But yeah, it was just a slow race, and eventually it all just kicked off at the end, and just this podium just fell right into place for me. So yeah, a good race to come back to ILR. Hopefully, I can maybe pace-wise be more at the front instead of just have it all fall into place with absolutely zero pace. So yeah, something to work on, but positives to take for sure.
Absolutely, I'm sure viewers would probably be wondering as well, because I don't know myself, but reasons why you're not committing time this season. I mean, it's not the first time I've seen a champion not compete in the following season of ILR. In fact, it's a trend. But is there any reason in particular, or is it you don't really want to go into it?
It was a mixture of personal reasons and other commitments. Just got on the way, and more of a break was required from league racing. I think that week, with that USA race, there was like I think I won 3 championships that week, and it just took it out of me mentally. And so yeah, I just had to take a step back and just mentally recover. And I think now I'm ready to maybe hopefully challenge again in this league, because it is a lot of fun racing in this league. And I do miss racing in this league when it's going well. So yeah, hopefully I can race a bit more often as a reserve, and hopefully maybe actually have some decent pace to challenge the front runners today. Not today, what am I on about? In future races.
Absolutely. Third place, congratulations or commiserations, however you want to look at it. Third place is yours. We move on then to second place, Joe. Done a bit of a podium here today. No fault of our own, but for one man in particular, finished second here today. I won't go too into it. But Joe, qualifying was probably, maybe I say, the moment of the race. Easily the best qualifying I think this season. In terms of just drama towards the end, you and Simon managed to get the exact same lap time. Has that ever happened to you before?
I've been 1,000th off pole here before.
Hurts.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. Other than that, though, it was a race where it started on pole, and really the start was the most frantic I've seen from a race start from such a great selection of drivers. It was very weird to see the sorts of carnage that did unfold over the first few corners of the race. Happy with how the start went? I mean, you lost positions, but it was a bit hectic in there, wasn't it?
Yeah, the start was quite interesting. I just was mainly trying to keep my nose clean. I saw Simon. I couldn't really see Simon actually. He was kind of almost in my blind spot, so I had to leave the door open just in case he was there. And yeah, I went off the track, and then next thing I know, 3 cars have got an amazing run at me. So I just decided to let them all sort it out. Yeah, and I think it was Josh that crashed. I'm not really sure. But yeah, my race, I'm not particularly happy because I knew the pace was there. I was actually really surprised with Syrah's pace towards the end of the hards, because I thought the tyres would have gone off by then. Yeah, on mediums, I really felt like I was just like controlling my own race almost, because just behind Simon it was pretty easy to follow. And yeah, I just lost so much time in the pits, like 3 or 4 seconds. And then in traffic, it was a bit stupid. So yeah, I'm not particularly happy, but P2 is better than no points, I guess.
Absolutely. It's I was going to go on to the pits, but you've covered it quite nicely. It was a moment where I don't know whether you knew whether Sierra had a penalty, but actually it was where I hand her in the final sector that actually you were within. I'm going to break it to the news if you didn't know already, but you're actually winning the race at that point. And then you went wide and you sort of lost it. I mean, well, I say sort of lost it. Can't really dull it down anymore than that. You lost it, which is a bit of a, a bit of a shame. I suppose you didn't really know that in the car, but did you know that you had the penalty? Was that ever in your mind? Were you always just trying to get within that margin?
Yeah, I knew he had a penalty. So yeah, I hadn't. My ERS was completely screwed from the guys who hadn't pit yet, so I was on about 15%. So I had to let I think it was JD go, just to save up some, and the gap got to like 4.5 seconds. And to catch someone of Sierra's pace, it's pretty hard, and there wasn't many laps left. And yeah, I did find out just a minute ago that I was almost with it, leading the race, well, winning the race, but I don't think I would have got it because it was about 3.3 going into the last sector, and I feel like the timing said I would have gained because I went in so hot into the corner. Yeah, I just had to throw it all at it on that last lap, and it didn't pay off.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, congratulations on second place, or commiserations on second place today. And Dom, a race which had so much attrition, really, really exciting racing. It was very tense towards the end there, wasn't it?
Indeed, yeah, you just didn't know who was going to win into the final sector of the race. And well done to Syra and Joe for putting on a good show. It was a good to commentate over. And again, we had so much drama in that race. People spinning out, contact as well. It was a very good French Grand Prix, something that you didn't see in real life.
Absolutely. Had a lot more drama than the real life Grand Prix, that's for certain. Even the turbulent incidences of a couple of years ago. But anyway, we'll move on from that, and with that, we'll move on from the Paul Ricard circuit, the French Grand Prix. Once again, another tremendous ILR race. We seem to be having a bit of a trend at the moment for having these great races. It's been a great season up to this point. Only at round 7 of the season, we moved to round 8 of the championship.
We're on round 8.
Sorry, round 9 of the championship, we'll get it right. We moved to round 9 of the championship, I believe, at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. The Styrian Mountains play host for that round, and a circuit again that's posed some brilliant ILR action down the years, some carnage as well. But if you want to stay tuned for any of that, then be sure to watch this same time, same place, and maybe Andy alongside us for that one as well. But until all that, it's congratulations to the guys on the podium, and bye for now.